The views and opinions expressed on this program do not reflect the company, owners, management, staff, clients, or partners.
It's Thursday, the 27th day of February, 2025. Welcome to Bermuda's Daily Talk Show. It's the Daily Hour brought to you by the BAC Group of Companies, Medical House Lenders, and People's Pharmacy. I'm Jamal Hartman. She's Sandra Durham, and Simone Vaughn will be with us in a bit to bring you the latest in the news break brought to you by People's. Well, Sister Sandra, I don't think we've seen you all year. I'm joking.
Good morning, Jamal.
How's the sister doing?
I'm blessed. I'm happy to be here. I've had a rough 2 days, Jamal. I thought I'll have like a little relaxing weekend in New York, and getting back to Bermuda was a whole saga.
They didn't want to get you back?
Jamal, it was rough. It was rough. I'm sure Bermudians have experienced it before, where the flight gets back to Bermuda, you're about to land, you're almost on the runway, and then they take off and say, sorry, folks, we're going to have to head back to JFK. And then you don't know where you're staying for the night. You ain't got no clothes. What about my toothbrush? What?
I'm not laughing at you. I'm just saying. So
I cried. I was just like, I just want to be
No, folks. Sandra done tax late. Man, she taxed me all late at midnight. I was like, what's up here? And she's like whispering, this is what happened. We got back, couldn't land. So we came all the way back to New York. But that happened to me once. We were leaving Miami. We left Miami, got to Bermuda, and they said, it was too foggy or something. They couldn't land. And they took us all the way up to Boston. So, they didn't help us get a hotel or anything. Did they help you?
They did. I didn't stay where they gave us because I didn't after all of that, I wanted a good meal. I needed to be around something. I needed to buy some clothes, But it was a very bumpy flight, and I'm grateful.
Yeah. Did you all clap when you landed and stuff?
The second flight yesterday, Landon, was just as bumpy. We thought we were going to have the same situation. And when that pilot got the plane on the ground, everybody was like, yes, this has been a long time.
I remember when I was young and people used to give a round of applause when we landed, and then that stopped and people started saying, but now with all that's going on, I'm thinking we want to give them a round of applause. We want to make them feel appreciated.
And then our pilot, Jamal, it got me really nervous. At one point, he was like, we're on our way to Jamaica. Sorry, we're going from LaGuardia to LaGuardia. I'm like,
this ain't the time to play, bro.
Not a time to play. You don't know where you are. I'm not sure. It was bad, Jamal. I'm happy to be here.
All righty. Well, let's make Sancha feel better today, folks. So we how's everybody doing? David Michael Wilson says, a thankful Thursday, TDH fam and crew. Mark Arthur C. Phillips says, top of the morning, TDH fam. Top of the morning to you all. Well, greetings, everyone, and thanks for making us part of your daily routine. A good one today as we welcome Rashida Godwin of Titan. She's coming on. Going to be discussing why we need to carry the Black history conversation beyond February, especially in a majority Black country. The Daily Play is a name that place. All right. It's a local question, meaning about Bermuda. Name that place. Do not get this wrong, Sandra. Audience. All right. Don't get this wrong.
I depend on the audience.
Sandra, you've been this place. So hopefully you know your Bermuda geographical locations. All right. I'll leave it at that. Don't forget to subscribe on our website. Follow us on all of our social media channels to stay up to date with all that we have going on. Help us grow beyond the mic as we do our part to continue to improve our community. Don't forget, folks, tickets are now on sale for our gala. Oh, it's going to be a good night. All right. You don't want to miss that. But let's jump into today's conversation. So, today's conversation and discussion is brought to you by our friends at Titan and Secure, and we'll tell you what the question is after this. I think you all have a lot to say about this. I'm looking forward to Sancha and I having it out on this one.
The daily discussion is brought to you by Titan Express and Secure. Visit TitanEXBDA.com, your leading tour and transport provider specializing in Black History tours throughout the island. And SecureBDA.com for all your property management, waste management, residential, and commercial trucking needs. Professional, punctual, and reliable service is our commitment to you.
Yeah, that seemed a bit fast. Yeah, your boy got his water in, right? But look, real quickly, here's your question of the morning, audience. You trust me. This is an interesting one because last week, Teo and I were like, I don't know how he's going to be able to do this, right? What would you advise the premier to do to reduce the cost of living? What would you advise the premier of Bermuda to do to reduce the cost of living? That's your question this morning. What would you advise the premier of Bermuda to do to reduce the cost of living? And Sancha, hold on. Do you think the government will be able to reduce the cost of living? Yes or no question. And of course, we have, if you all want to remain anonymous for this yes or no question, all you have to do is the QR code's right there. Just copy the QR code. And for those of you who are on your phones and you can't, utilize the QR code, we will put the link in the comments. Here we go. We'll put the link in the comments so you can participate. Again, if you want to remain anonymous, just go there, click the link, or hit the QR code. But that's, again, what would you advise the premier of Bermuda to reduce? What would you advise the premier of Bermuda to do to reduce the cost of living? And do you think the government will be able to reduce the cost of living? What are your thoughts?
I'm going to let you go first because I feel like you're ready.
Why'd you went like, you gave the center like you got a lot to say, but I'll start. What would I advise? See, there's this big argument or debate going on Bermuda Twitter about capitalism versus socialism or communism. Sorry, communism. Mm-hmm. And look, man, I work hard, Sandra. Like, you all may see my face an hour of a day, but maybe I'm patting myself on my own back, but I work for what how I live. No one gives me anything. I'm not a charity. And while I understand the arguments against capitalism, I think capitalism can work. It's just that some people may be a bit greedier than others or, exploit it differently, right? I don't know what communism looks like in terms of what it would look like in Bermuda. I don't know what price controls would look like. Like as a business owner, I wouldn't know like if you told me that I can only sell my product for a certain amount, knowing that it cost me this amount to make. I'm not quite sure that would work out for the people who I have to pay, who are on our staff. So I honestly think this is one of the first times where I would not know what to say to the premier because I just, as Teo and I said last week, I just don't know how it's possible without price controls. I don't know how you reduce the cost of living. Maybe I'm not an economics major. I'm not a financial expert, or I just don't. I don't see how it works without price controls. It's like minimum wage. Like, how does it work without price controls? Because again, if you tell a company who's paying their staff $20, let's say you're paying your staff $10 an hour, right?
Right.
And now you tell them, the government tells you have to pay them $15 an hour, right? Well, the cost of the services you're offering are just going to go up, right? So if it's a grocery store and the cost of the groceries go up to make that up, is it really helping them to live if they still the ratio, the gap's still the same? So I honestly, I guess this is gonna be where we see the brilliance of Bert. I Again, maybe he's keeping his cards close to his chest. I don't know, audience. I don't know. So the other question: do I think the government will be able to reduce the cost of living? Not without some sort of price controls. And I'm not advocating for price controls. I just don't know how it works. And I'm happy to be educated by anyone out there who has a lot more experience than me on this.
Um,
Oh boy.
okay, so I do not think that the government's gonna be able to lower the cost of living.
Mhm.
As I have said, I do think that our government, they are targeting areas. It's always okay. So every time we look, they're giving back, but it's in trinkets, right?
Mhm.
So it's like, let's lower your the registration of your car,
Mhm.
or we're gonna give you back a little more pension. You're not gonna pay to get on the bus, and essentially, all of these things do is raise the cost of the taxpayers, because I think even if we keep getting these trinkets, people see, oh, well, I'm not paying $87 here, or I'm saving $10 here. But essentially, where does that money come from in the long run? You have to, like, you know what I mean? Like, you have to be able to balance and budget and all those things. And if you keep giving out these little trinkets, it's not gonna happen. I personally think it's only gonna raise the cost of our living, because we're gonna pay for it in taxes. Um, I look at the buses. I'm like, I don't know why, these buses are constantly breaking down and they're out of service, and we're having a hard time with them. I don't think it would be a hard one to ask for 50 cents for the kids. Essentially, I don't need my son to have a bus pass. I wouldn't mind paying 50 cents if he had to get on the bus, so that we can actually pay to service these buses. I there has to be, and that's why I say no. I don't think that we can bring down the cost of living, because I do feel as if we're constantly trying to give to the community, but we're not really thinking of where the money is coming from and being realistic. And I know that government shouldn't be run as a business, but there has to be a balance,
Mhm.
right?
Mhm. Mhm.
So I'm stuck with it. I don't know, but I do know that the way in which we're going and what we've been doing is not working. It,
Yeah. I mean, it's tough. Like, I think you, yeah, yeah, I'm with you. I'm with you. I think it's almost like we want to be positive. We want to see the joy in this at the end of what he's saying. I just don't know how it's done. And again, maybe Sancho, we're just not intelligent enough to understand.
but I mean, Jamal, look at it. I was thinking about it yesterday when I was coming through the airport. Our customs duty is 200 right now. They said that they're going to increase it to 300. But why? That's where
Mhm.
we go. That's where we make most
Yeah,
of our, you know what I mean, in our customs duties. So why are we going to increase that duty allowance to 300? Nobody's complaining. We know
yeah,
what it is. It's been that for a while. Keep
mhm,
it. We need the money.
yeah.
We need
And
the money.
I remember when Paula Cox took it from 100 to 200. I think it was right before the election, 2012. This seems like the same thing, right? It seems like it was set before that. No, as far as I know, he'll be doing a throne speech next month, and then I think budget in May or anyway. I think that's what they said. But in saying that, I think we'll find out a lot more when he does his throne speech. When I say he, the premier. But let's go to some comments. Let's see what the audience thinks. Again, question of the morning, audience: what would you advise the premier of Bermuda to do to reduce the cost of living? Like, what would you advise him to do? What would you advise him? What I would advise him to do personally is speak with financial experts outside of himself,
Yeah,
meaning
I
no
think
miracles.
I think that's a big one. I'm sure everyone in the audience would agree, and we've spoken about it. It's no way that the premier and our Minister of Finance, they should not hold it shouldn't be the same person. It should not be allowed because you need to have checks and balances, right? And I know me, if I'm building a team, I want my team to be great and I need to have accountability within my team. And I need someone great by my side. And I think we need to have a finance minister to help in this situation.
All right. Well, let's see what the audience is saying. Teresa Marie says, what would you do to advise the premier of Bermuda to do to reduce the cost of living? She says suspension of all import duties would do it. Fat chance. Okay. Michael Daniels says align with purchasing groups that allow us to take advantage of economies of scale.
Yeah.
Jackie Eve agrees with Sandra regarding the bus fare. Okay. Suzanne Ingham says, I don't think they will be able to do it by much. I'd really like to be wrong on this. Help every person start their own garden, which will help a little, but importing, I doubt it. Where is Omar when I need him? He had some good thoughts on this. Sandra, you look like a schoolgirl today. All right, she's saying you look young, I guess.
Thank you. That weekend to be good.
Okay. New York City, baby. New York City. Mark Arthur C. Phillips says, whether it's socialism, capitalism, or communism, each of these forms of economic and political ideologies, they all have pros and cons. Many times we want the pros without the cons. Well, we all want the pros without the cons. The challenge is the pros don't come without the cons, right? Yeah. I get it. Kenton Trott says it's a very difficult one because we are a capitalist country. Everything is expensive here. Electricity, duty, shipping, fuel, rents, groceries. Yeah, it is difficult. That's why we're trying to figure out how do we do it. Michael Daniels, this is a good point. He said, produce more farming and fishing. Well, remember what I said last week? We all need to learn how to, catch our own food and grow our own food. That's a key to economies, right? Catch our food and grow our food. Like, I don't think, maybe I'm wrong, maybe I'm being very judgmental. I'm not quite sure a lot of young people are growing up knowing how to do it. I grew up knowing how to fish. Even though I got seasick a lot, but I grew up knowing how to fish, even though I wouldn't touch the fish when it came up the line, but I knew how to catch one. I knew how to bait a line. But it's true, like that is a way. I mean, I know a lot of people speak about growing food, but how many of us have the resources, the space to do it? I know my father and his friends have some areas throughout their neighborhood where they have garden space where they grow stuff and give it to various members of the church and so on. Maybe that is a way to do it. What else, audience? Renee Simmons says, that's just it. There needs to be research on minimum wage and price controls. It's not like it can't be done, but with expertise consulting, it's worth the effort to implement across the board. Kenton Trott says, in other countries, they subsidize farmers to make food more affordable. I don't know if we can afford subsidies. And then we have Richard Scott says real estate, housing prices, purchase, and rent markets. Okay. We've got Shamari Talbot Ward says, as the government finances have improved, the government has passed it on to Bermudians. It's pretty simple of why the government has been able to provide relief to people. This is one of those things where time will tell. This is one of those things because at present, there ain't too many people feeling that the government finances have improved, regardless of what political facts are shared with the majority.
But I think that even when these tax cuts and breaks are given, are they passed on to the consumer so that we can feel it? When we talk about Belco and any sort of cuts that they're being given, is Belco in turn giving that on to the consumer? They're not, right? The grocery stores, when those cuts are given, is that passed on to the consumer? That it needs to be passed. There needs to be something that says that it's imperative that this cut is passed on, or a percentage of it is passed on to the consumer.
You just made me think of something. I think I have an answer to the question. I think I finally have an audience. Hear me out. The question of what would you advise the Premier of Bermuda to do to reduce the cost of living? I think the answer is eliminate the need for financial assistance. And if we eliminate the need for financial assistance, we found solutions for people to do for self.
But how do we do that?
We have to change the way we do politics. Many will disagree with me, but I do feel like we created a space where of self-reliance on, like reliant on the government, right? I think it's time for us to look at ways to eliminate the need for financial assistance by giving people I said this years ago and people disagreed, and then someone said it to me this week about privatization. I said we have to reduce the cost of government, right? There are certain services that are just not used as much, whether it's mail service and privatizing things like trucking and the like. Well, privatization, things usually go up. And what's going to happen? This is the big question. What's going to happen to those employed in these areas? Well, I'll tell you, I've said this on the show, and maybe I'm being extremely unfair in saying this, but if I've worked in a space for many years, I think that myself and others within that space should gain enough experience to do that in another space, and maybe take the accountant that was in our department, and that's the accountant for our new company. But I believe that the way to reduce the cost of living, number one, is to reduce the what government spends, and that means the people that are employed by government and the people who rely on government. Those to me are two key things. How the government goes on doing that, I think I just gave some suggestions. We got to reduce the cost of the service, public service, civil service, whatever we choose to call it. Not popular, but I think it will go a long way. No? Okay. Shamari Tolbert Orrit says, if they're not being passed to the consumer, that's why we need price controls and transparency, like said on our platform. Well, that's where the economy comes in question. Price controls. Okay, let's say you go for that. And what happens after that? Because this is a capitalist economy that Bermuda works in. You're changing our economy overnight if you introduce price controls. It sounds good. It's like the minimum wage thing. Like the PLP was championing minimum wage. But if you ask Bermudians to put their hands up and did that benefit them? I guarantee you, in a room of 10 people, 0.5 would say yes.
Yeah.
It may have benefited some people living and working in Bermuda, but I've never heard a Bermudian say it benefited them. We have rent control, and how's that working out for Bermuda? We just saw a situation where somebody was in court for not paying certain amounts of rent. I don't know. I don't get it. I'm not smart enough to understand economics. I don't know. I'll leave it to the brilliance of Brett. Go ahead. Sorry.
Mia and I talk about it quite regularly as business owners. Our import duties, right? Mm-hmm. Why are our import duties as a business the same as anyone else that's importing? And I think that if that break is passed along to us, as a business owners, I think that we can lower our prices, and I think that's just a trickle down effect. So that's one of the things I think that needs to be looked at. Our import taxes for businesses, it definitely should be different. I should not be me. When I used to own the garage, for instance, if I'm paying the same sort of taxes as anyone else that's shipping in her package from Shein or wherever they do, what's the sense in shopping with me? Essentially, they can get it cheaper, right?
Yeah. Well, let's go to these last few comments before we bring Simone in. Michelle White says, I would advise the Premier to collect outstanding taxes, then look at the budget, then reduce import taxes, also negotiate better shipping prices. Oh, Sanchez is talking about who's in the room. Rosalind Famous says, what are the particular factors that impact our cost of living in Bermuda? What's the source? Is it our small size? Is it merely importation of goods? A lot of people think it's importation, but some people think it's just greed. We've got Alan Kate Horton says we need to take a serious look at income tax. Maybe it's, you all gonna make me seem like a Republican. Florida governor, worst governor I've ever lived in a state with, but he's proposing getting rid of property taxes. I just don't think government should tax. Governments need to be we need intelligent people to find out ways to generate revenue without taxing the people. I don't know. I don't know. Well, I don't know. Yeah. Torrey Toll says housing, energy, and food are main drivers of inflation. I'd like to see reallocation of spending to alleviate costs. Also think we need to increase financial assistance to keep up with inflation rate. I think we need to eliminate and eradicate financial assistance. Seriously, I think that I don't believe in policies that make people reliant. I think we need to develop, and that's where I think maybe I agree with Mark Bean's policies. I think we need to develop a way for people to be, more in control of self. And I know there are instances where people may have disadvantages. That's different. Right? But willing and able people, I think we need to create spaces where they can thrive in the economy. All right, last few comments, because we got a important conversation that you all need to hang around for with Rashida Godwin coming up. Kaj Matthew says, or Kaj Matthew, sorry. KJ Matthew says. Who? KJ, sorry, KJ. I'm sorry, bro. Appreciate you forgiving me. He didn't forgive me, but you get me. He says, I agree. The government should work better with IB and the top 1% to eliminate the gap in financial classes. The ocean is bountiful enough to export fish. Support the smaller community. Don't say that to the government. They're talking about, the fishing community ain't too happy with them about all that. Shamari Talbot Warwich, he says, you just said the businesses haven't passed on tax relief, so your business would or you won't reap the benefits like many other businesses have. So, you, I think?
He's talking to me, yes. I said that they should lower the import taxes for business owners. Of course, I would pass it on. It depends on who you are as a business. We're talking about morals, right? So at the end of the day, I mark it on a percentage, right? I know what I need my profit to be. And if I can lower my import tax, it's going to obviously lower that. But it depends on who you are morally and what your business stands for morally. So yes, if you're talking to me specifically, yes, I would. I know Mia, she would. That's just who we are as people and business owners, right? Okay. We're morally sound.
Mike Daniel says, Jamel, you and Sancho are aggressive progressives. And does that describe the man in the street? What the hell does that mean? Stop speaking in riddles, please. What does that even mean? Seriously. I cannot stand when he writes like that. No disrespect to you, but be very clear with us. We're clear with you. You know how we feel, where we stand. Like, what does aggressive progressive even mean? And I don't like being put in boxes. I am very different from Sancho, and she's very different from me. Trust me. Yeah. So yeah, please explain your riddles. I don't have time for that. I can't stand it. Sorry. We've got Lou Edward Matthews saying, I think digital platform is so difficult for business, making it easier for Bermuda businesses to market easily to global audiences. Okay. All right. We've got one more from Lou Edward Matthews. He says, I see so many people, Bermuda businesses, products with global appeal. I agree. And one more quick one. Jackie E says, charge for add-ons at TCD tint license plates with reduced please. They would not be stopping them for those things. Okay. All right, let's bring in.
I actually agree with that one.
What, the luxury? Well, it's luxury. It's luxury stuff, right? All right. Let's. You all laughing at aggressive progressives. Just ridiculous. Like, tell us what you really think. Like, don't make people. Look, it's like Kendrick Lamar. I'm sorry, I'm going on a rant. Kendrick Lamar at the damn Super Bowl. Like, we up there to enjoy a show, bro. I don't want to think when I'm supposed to be entertained. Like, we're having a conversation here. I'm direct with you all. You ain't got to think about how I feel. I tell you how I feel, whether you like it or not. Don't do that in our comments. What's wrong with you? All these damn riddles. Let's go to the thanks. Oh, well, first, let me change my tune. Thanks to Titan and Secure for underwriting these conversations. Make sure we can have these discussions with you.
The Daily Discussion is brought to you by Titan Express and Secure. Visit TitanEXBDA.com, your leading tour and transport provider specializing in Black History tours throughout the island. And SecureBDA.com, for all your property management, waste management, residential, and commercial trucking needs. Professional, punctual, and reliable service is our commitment to you.
All right, let's bring Simone Vaughn in for your Daily Hour News Break. Don't forget, we've got a very important conversation about Black history coming up with Rashida Godwin. Stick with us. Well, hello, Simone. How are you?
I'm good. Good morning, everyone.
Yeah, folks, let me tell you something before she starts. I was going like this before the show, And she says to me, I'm telling you, you ought to know every last one of them. Even Larry had some short jokes at lunch the other day. I was like, man, that Ariana Hudson from the PLP, she's beautiful, but she's tall. She's taller than me. And he says, everybody's taller than you. That's what Larry said to me. I'm like, you too, bro? Like, we've been like boys from like children. And then I'm brushing my hair. Yeah, it's hair there. And Simone says, what are you brushing? Like, what?
But listen, when I watched the show, right, Simone is so soft-spoken. When I've spoken to her, she's just really soft-spoken and reserved. And so when she said to you this morning, what are you brushing? She shocked me. She shocked me. I was like, ooh, she's a little sassy.
I was genuinely curious. I was like, are the thoughts like need promoting or?
I was brushing my waves, all right? Don't worry about that. You don't worry about
your brain waves. I love to see it.
No, you see, this is what I'm talking about. This is what I'm talking about. We did not need share any. You know what?
Tears to my eyes.
It's classic little sister behavior. It's okay. We'll let's go on with the show.
I forgive you all. I forgive you all. For they don't know, audience. What you got for us today, young lady?
Okay. So in recent news, a man has finally been convicted of murder that occurred in 2017. Here is the update with that.
Kiari Tucker, a 27-year-old man, has been charged for the 2017 killing of Moreland Steed. The verdict was reached after several hours of deliberation of the jury. This is Tucker's third trial for murder. In a previous 2019 conviction, he was sentenced to 25 years, but the ruling was overturned due to jury misdirection. In 2020, there was a retrial that ended in a hung jury. Father of the victim, Ricky Steed, has expressed satisfaction with the outcome of this third trial, stating, "I am happy with the verdict."
I watched Dateline in 2020, and first off, to the family who got justice, thankful that they did. But it took me watching years of 2020 and Dateline to understand what families have to go through when there's multiple trials. I feel for them, man. That's a lot. 3 trials together. Yeah. Well, the first one was a conviction, but overturned. So I know it doesn't bring closure, but hopefully the family, feels some sort of comfort that they got justice, especially knowing that there are so many families in Bermuda who haven't gotten justice.
Yeah, and maybe this would be a first step in, seeing more things like this, return to justice.
Indeed.
So I don't know if anybody has heard of or watched the famous TV show A Different World, but in one of their episodes, they speak about a lot of, interesting topics. And one of their topics was DEI, which is diversity, equity, and inclusion. So in recent news, President Trump is trying to end DEI. And this has been a topic that has been spanning for a while now. So let's look at the story with that.
The United States President Trump is ending DEI programs in the U.S. In a statement released from the White House, all equity action plans, equity actions, initiatives or programs, equity-related grants or contracts, and all DEI or DEIA performance requirements for employees, contractors, or grantees will be terminated to the maximum extent allowed by law. DEI is said to have been started around the 1960s. However, initiatives and policies were implemented in 2020 in Biden's administration. The DEI organizational framework was established to promote the fair treatment and participation of all people, particularly those who have been historically discriminated and disenfranchised in the workplace. U.S. residents who are against the death of DEI are planning to boycott this Friday from noon to midnight. Some of the major corporations they are boycotting include Amazon, Walmart, and McDonald's, which all 3 have rolled back on DEI.
I mean, Dr. King used to do boycotting pretty well. Wasn't it like Wonder Bread and Coca-Cola? I think, yeah.
I
Remind
don't
me
know.
when.
You have to take me back to history class for that one, I'm afraid.
Well, I mean, yeah, some people were born in the
Listen,
two.
when she said, I knew her age when she said, I don't know if you know the show A Different World.
Oh my. But you know what's crazy? The question, the Daily Hour, the question yesterday, what's it called? The Daily Play was A Different World. The answer.
Listen, I grew up on A Different World. I was
I
so
know.
excited that it's been added to Netflix.
Mhm. Yes.
Cannot wait.
You've seen it before though, right, Smith?
Yes, and I'm rewatching it. Thank
Oh,
you.
that's just checking. I mean, you were born like 20 years after it was on. I'm just saying. Did
Hey,
I
a
get it
classic is
right?
a classic.
Yeah, it's a classic. It was one of the best black programs we saw on TV back in the day. So yeah.
Yes, yes. But the one interesting thing about this DEI and me mentioning all of this is, in Bermuda, we have American companies. And it would be interesting to see how that kind of trickles over if Trump is
Hmm.
successful in rolling back all of that DEI stuff. You know,
Well,
it
it's
would be
interesting. I
interesting to
didn't even
see.
think of it like that for Bermuda, but she's right. Like, how does that translate? And even if you look at Bacardi, having other Bacardis, domiciled in Bermuda, but if Bermuda adopted a similar thing, would that mean that there's no more Bacardi black market vendor, right? Black vendors market. Um, my response to DI is very simple. I mean, most people don't agree with me, and you all probably won't either. But my response is build our own. I know some people will say that, well, we had our own and they bombed it, or they did this or did that. But my response to it is it's a time to support. If you can't find a job, I know everyone's not an entrepreneur, but create something for yourself. I've been in US based companies and saw how they use DEI. I think, and I'll say this publicly, I'll say it directly. DEI, like affirmative action, seem to benefit white women more than any other group. I've seen stats data that says the exact same. I think they used George Floyd, they used the black movements, whether it was Black Lives Matter or not, like to drive things that benefited white women. That's just the facts, right? So whether or not DEI even truly benefited black people is in question. No. Did Target do some great things for black entrepreneurs? Yeah, they had a lot of black entrepreneurs in with Honey Pot and Tabitha Brown. They offered them opportunities to get their products on their shelves. So in some respects, it did. But Mike, if companies start ruling back, let's start creating our markets and let's start supporting our markets, because let's remember when we were integrated, whose businesses started to fail?
Mm-hmm.
I'm not calling for segregation. I'm just trying to get us to think about stuff.
Yeah. And we were successful on our own. We had Black Wall Street, Tulsa.
Mm-hmm. Black media,
Mm-hmm.
grocery stores. I mean, we need a bank. But anyway, I'm done. You all done for my rants. I hopefully, Rashida, we're going to ask her about this DEI too. Let me write that down. Hold on. Go ahead.
Okay. So, and next, we have the Bermuda Olympic Association has recently named a chef de mission for this year's Pan Am Junior Games.
David Thomas has been selected as chef de mission for the upcoming 2025 Pan Am Junior Games. The games are set to take place August 9th through 23rd. David Thomas says he's extremely grateful for the opportunity to lead Team Bermuda into what promises to be an exceptional sporting festival, celebrating the best that our region has to offer. This week, Thomas will head to a seminar in Asunción, Paraguay to prepare as chef de mission.
Big up, Big Dave, man. That's tennis player right there. Yeah, big up. That's the Dave Thomas. Does he still work at the Tourism Authority?
I'm not sure.
Okay.
I didn't really check his background,
Okay, well, you know what? If he doesn't, it would make sense. I mean, one of the few doing great things. Sorry, I couldn't help myself.
You're good. Well, for today's weather, we can expect partly cloudy skies. There might be a slight chance of rain showers throughout the day. The temperature will range from a high of 65 degrees to a low of 63. windy conditions will make the temperature outside feel a little cooler, around 54 to 63 degrees.
What is this? Anyway, yeah, she didn't mention the R word. What you got days of the year, Sandra?
I have 2 days of the year. Sometimes I can't choose, but
Okay.
today is National Chili Day. Do you eat chili?
Oh, yes, I love me a good bowl of chili.
So,
What?
Jamal, I love the vegetarian chili that
Yeah, I
they
eat that.
have Natural Mystic Hub. So you and I should go and have chili today
Okay.
and Natural Mystic Hub. Yeah?
Okay.
Date?
Can we do
Yeah?
it tomorrow?
He's
It's
having
National
lunch with somebody
It's
today already.
But I have an important lunch date today with
Okay. Well,
Steph.
okay. Let's have a chili snack after your lunch date. And
Okay.
secondly, it's National Pokemon Day. That's
What is
you.
Pokemon?
Oh,
What's Pokemon?
Yeah,
Like a cartoon character?
it's National Pokemon
yeah.
Day. So you
Yes,
don't
it
know what
is.
Pokemon
Anime.
is?
I don't have children. What is a
You
Pokemon?
have to have children. I
I
feel like
mean,
Go ahead.
Pokemon Go, the White House, Michelle Obama, she did this whole thing where you get outside and walk, catch the Pokemon Go
Yes,
tags on your phone.
yes. So they
Okay.
have like a Pokemon game on your phone where you can like walk around and catch the Pokemon. But I feel like Pokemon's been around for so long, Jamal. Like a very long time.
You
The
know, when
little
I hear Pokemon, as you say it, I'm just thinking of a Jamaican saying, "Hey, you Pokemon!" Like that's what I'm hearing. Like I don't.
No,
Uh,
Pokemon's friend is Pikachu.
oh, see, I don't.
Yeah.
I'm sorry, I'm not tuned in. Audience, it can't be just me. Audience, did you know what Pokemon is or what was? Or come on now, be honest.
You are going to see right now that everyone knows what Pokemon is.
You know what? I'm used to being an island on my own, like on that man on. I'm okay. I'm okay. But
Look, Mark Arthur C. Phillips. I'm older than you, fam, and I know what Pokemon is. Everyone, yes, yes.
oh, oh, okay, all right.
Island's
Well,
looking a little lonely now, Jamal.
oh, I mean, I'm used to being on an island by myself. I mean,
All
it's,
right.
I remember you all anyway. Simone, we'll see you later. Yeah.
All
Yeah.
right. Have a
You
good
have a
one.
wonderful day, Simone. All right. Cool. Yeah.
You as
Uh-huh.
well.
Thank you. So move on, folks. Folks, if you've appreciated the conversation, discussion, and news so far, give us a thumbs up, love, like. Make sure you share the conversation with your friends, your family, your colleagues. We're going to take a quick break. We'll be back in about 2 minutes, 44 seconds, so that more of you can tell me that you've heard of Pokemon and I have not. Rashida Godwin's up next. Stick with us.
Join us as we celebrate 5 years and 1,000 plus episodes of community conversations on Bermuda's Daily Talk Show. The Daily Hour Gala takes place on April 26th at LF Wade International Airport. For more information and advance tickets, please send an email to admin@bermudacommunications.com. We look forward to celebrating all that's great about our community with all of you.
People's ACW, located at King Edward VII Memorial Hospital, carries over-the-counter medicines, toys, cards, and even toiletries. Our knowledgeable staff are there whether you're at emergency, visiting family, or a member of BHB staff, to show you our best even when you're feeling your worst. People's ACW, we're here for you.
Hi there, welcome to Medical House. We're located at number 6 Bakery Lane. I can't wait to show you all of the great stuff that we carry. Come on inside, let's see. Long days, long shifts, you no longer have to endure comfortable underwear. Designed by nurses, we now offer premium undergarments by Swoop that are unique, fun, comfortable, and functional. The only underwear you'll ever want to wear. Who says high quality functional products can't be stylish and comfortable at the same time?
See it all at our new expanded location on Bakery Lane.
Welcome to the new bulk store, Lindo's Next Level. Wake up in the morning with enough coffee to keep you running throughout the entire day. Your pet at home deserves the best. Stock up on dog food to keep your puppy happy. Need a quick, tasty lunch at home? Your chicken nuggets will be jumping right out of the freezer. What's a movie night without popcorn? You can never have too much. Lindo's Next Level. Why go anyplace else?
Unlock your business potential with BDC's General Microloan, offering up to $30,000 for Bermudian small and medium businesses. Whether it's for inventory, working capital, or equipment, we provide 100% guarantee on approved loans. Simple application, low interest rates, and fast processing. Apply today and make your business dream come true.
Bermuda Trivia, the Black History Edition, is now available at stores throughout Bermuda. Visit bermudatrivia.com or email contact@bermudatrivia.com to learn more.
Alrighty, welcome back to the Big Show. She's Central Durham. I'm Jamal Hartman. It's the Daily Hour brought to you by the BAC Group of Companies, Medical Halls, Lindo's, and People's Pharmacy. Folks, please do not forget, subscribe on our website. Follow us on all of our social media channels to stay up to date with all that we have going on. Help us grow beyond the mic as we do our part to continue to improve our community. We've got a big celebration coming up April 26th. We'd love for you to all be a part of that. Because of you, we are still doing this 5 years later. Because of you, we've had, as of today, this is our 1100th live episode today.
I need the
That is an accomplishment. I'll tell you, seriously, 1100 live episodes. When we started, we had no expectations, but I'm telling you all, without this team, the people on this team today, whether you see their faces a lot or not, from Sherry to Sancha, Simone to Maya to Larry to Phil to Teo, just everybody, Mia, like, I am grateful. Folks, we don't carry, and I'm mad at them because in our next meeting, I'm gonna tell them, you all need to bring the heat from our group onto the show. Like, don't be easing up the people. But this group gets along so well, even when we don't. Teray, I love a little debate with Teray. Don't let her fool you, folks. But it's awesome. Because of them, because of the support of people like Rashida, who was a day one on the show. She was a guest way back when we first started. During the pandemic, because of the BAC group and Medical Halls and Lindo's and People's Pharmacy and the people who came before, whether it's NMAC, there's mailboxes, it's Friesenbrook. This show exists because of you. So I am grateful. 1100 episodes. It's tough waking up some mornings. It's tough doing it. To the ones with children, Sancha and Maya, Mia, Sancha and Mia and Larry and Phil and Teo, like, it's a sacrifice. They have to ask for permission from their families to do this. I'm serious, but I'm not. You know what I'm saying? It's a lot. So I thank them. I thank you all. And let's celebrate this on April 26, 2025 at LF Wade International Airport. Thank you. Thank you. Thank you. All right. Without further ado, let's bring in our guest for the day. She was one of the first. Thank you, Kenton. We appreciate you, Kenton Trott. We really do. And Kathy Rogers and Jewel Eve and Nicole Walker family right there. And Mark, I think these are emojis. He says, indeed, this is great. I think those are emojis. And Suzanne Ingham, we appreciate it. Emily Gill. Yes, thank you all. Thank you all. Because of you, we are here. Let's give a warm TDH welcome. This, to me, is another important conversation because if you know me, I am not one to really celebrate or highlight Black History Month because a lot of what we do on this show is subliminal in terms of it's in our conversations every day or daily play or daily inspiration. It's there. I believe that it should be in us first. It should go beyond the shortest month of the year. And two, it should be in a majority Black country, something that is part of our everyday life. All right. There's no reason that I or us should just be finding out about the Honorable Gene Atherton, right? Things like that. I want to give a shout out to my cousin, Miss Dang, over there at Power 95, Bermuda's favorite morning host. We had, a really nice conversation. Well, she kept me for lunch like 4 or 5 hours yesterday, right? Taking up all my time, right? She talks so much, you all. Not me, but we talked about stuff like that. We talked about what we can do to ensure that you have information. So yeah, thank you guys. Thank you all for giving us a chance. Let's bring in Rashida Godwin because I will keep you here like I kept Miss Dang tomorrow. Yesterday, sorry. Welcome.
Good morning, guys. Morning, Sancha. Morning, Jamal.
First off, we need to see the whole shirt. We need to see the whole shirt real quick.
Oh, never
Never
forget you.
forget your roots, man.
Yeah.
Can we get one of those? You selling those?
No, I just I'm different places. Sometimes I even ask different companies if they can make the shirt for me. So I should probably sell them. But
Yeah,
normally I'll see a quote and I'm like, oh, I like that quote. I'm like, let me contact somebody and they just make the shirt for me. Like even Mary Prince shirts. But some of this like Didi Mary Prince, they just give me a shirt anyway.
Okay.
So yeah. So if I see
I like that. I'm gonna have to get some of that merchandise, man, tight and start selling it, But no, Rashida, thank you for coming. Thank you, for being a part of this. Before we get into today's conversation, I took a little note to make sure I asked you something. We got to talk about this DEI thing because I think, in my personal opinion, I think that Donald Trump's doing us a favor. That's my audience. You may disagree, but I think that Donald Trump may be doing us a favor. Honestly, if you'd like to share any thought, do you have any thoughts on DEI and people who are being impacted by whatever rollbacks or forced things that Donald Trump's putting out there?
It gets back to what you said too, Mal. A lot of those things historically really benefited mainly. They didn't benefit white women. Even we got International Women's Day coming up, and that was mainly just for white women. It really was. And when they needed numbers, they pulled in the black women. But again, the history is right there, and history is there for us to learn the lessons from. Just the mere fact that you got to be somewhere, and someone's got to be reminded and written down on how to treat you. Do you really want to be in a space and place like that? It's like I didn't agree with it either. People should be, but of course sometimes you do have these people who don't do the right thing. But do we really want to be around people like that? Do we really want to work in their spaces and places where people's got to be constantly told how to treat us? We have to question ourselves.
Yeah. I think you said it so much more eloquently than we could have. But yeah. You heard it, folks. You heard it. And again, audience, I'm not trying to change anyone's mind. I say this all the time. I just want us to think a bit more deeply on the issue. 3 people on this screen right now are entrepreneurs. I don't think any of us are entrepreneurs because of DEI. And I'll leave it at that. Let's jump into today's conversation. Tomorrow marks the end of February. And February in the United States is Black History Month. And in Bermuda, we adopt a lot of what the US does. One day we'll stop doing that, their Independence Day, and we don't have one, and then Thanksgiving. But why is it so important for us to recognize Black history beyond February in Bermuda?
Absolutely. It's very important because it's history, right? We really shouldn't even be saying Black history, but unfortunately, that's the time when people begin to acknowledge, oh, yeah, again, it's something written down. Yeah, let's remember this Black history. But it's history. It's the Black people's records of the past. We have to remember it because there's a lot of lessons. Like I said, history is not something that happened in the past. And we're living history. We're living it every day. The lessons are there for us to learn from. Even going back to your question at the beginning of the show about government and could they control the prices and could they, assist with the cost of living? All the history is there. We have the history. I just finished a tour and I had it. If it was popular with corporates, a few other people did it. It was called the Friendly Societies Tour. Great tour. It shows Black people how they banded together in many aspects. How they already had systems of self-determination. Were business owners. Many of them didn't even rely on the government for anything. Many of them didn't even rely on banks for anything. They created their own system. They rallied together, and even they were even able to, because they had systems of self-determination and were entrepreneurs. They were able to help the less vulnerable in the community without even worrying about the government assistance. Because back then, even in these early centuries here in Bermuda, and not even that long ago, this was up until like the 1970s, we had these organizations. They schooled our children. They sent them to universities. They pulled their monies together. They had like I said, in gift clubs, just a whole lot of things. And they didn't rely on the government because the government itself at that time was a group of wealthy white men who they called the oligarchy. And they didn't put nothing in place. They did not worry about how Black people would make it in Bermuda or even the less vulnerable would make it. They were pretty much worrying about just filling their own pockets.
And that brings me to my next question, Rashida, because,
Right.
you know, I said earlier that will probably piss a lot of people off, that I think getting rid of financial assistance is a way to, you know, reduce the cost of living and overall improve the economy. And I think a lot of people are very short-sighted because they're not even going to go beyond to see what I mean by that and how what you just explained, how we did for self before, how we were more, you know, successful economically before.
Mm-hmm.
So what role do you believe the community plays in ensuring that Black history goes beyond 1 month and that it is just history and our stories?
The community, they just really have to, you know, decide on, I don't know, it's tough for people now because people a lot of times think the history is boring. They're not interested in it. So the stories are not shared, you know, and then there's a gap. And then you had the older generation who's just not interested in sharing it to younger generation. I took out a school group. I took out Cedar Bridge and we had a great time. I tried to make it as fun as possible. I even used some of your trivia in it. And it's just learning the lessons of the past, because that's what it's about, learning the lessons. Nothing is new under the sun. All the questions we have, people have already asked these questions. And not only that, people have already created successful lives and successful businesses. For me, charity, even going to the lessons, charity is not sustainable. Charity is not sustainable. We cannot be keeping on, and it goes back to even giving up people a fish. You can't be keep giving them. They got to learn how to fish for themselves. Of course, we're still going to have those folks who still wanting a handout. We just have those people, you know. But like you said, I think you're right, and when you say that we have to allow people to be more self-reliant. But the thing is, like I said earlier, within our history, when we're talking about pre-emancipation, post-emancipation, August 1st, 1834 onwards, and even just before that, Black people were self-reliant. Mm-hmm. They did not rely on the government for anything. They knew that things were not in place. So they knew that they had to band together in order to make it. That's how they even built their houses. Did you know that the banks, even Bank of Butterfield, had to go beg some of the Black people to get a loan from the bank? Mm-hmm. And this is what you learn in the Friendly Society tours, because people even rallied together to build their houses. They may have even gone to the bank for the last building of the house and stuff like that. But from there, you know, the people that we descend from, they were self-reliant people. They were not beggars. And they even wrote it even in the historical books. I am not a beggar. I'm not begging anybody for money. So why are we thinking that the government should, you know, fund everything for us? It didn't work like that. And then you create a sense of entitlement. We need to stop it. Charity is not sustainable. The people that we stand from were self-reliant, self-determined people. They found a way out of no way. You know, so we have to hone in back on our history. We have to learn from it, and we have to bring that to where we are today. And we have to learn these records of the past from the people that we descend from.
You know what, though, real quick, Sanj, before you jump in, is these are uncomfortable truths right now. Uncomfortable truths. And they're not harsh. It's not harsh, but I just, and this may offend some folks, but I think political ideologies have been blurred, whereas if you support a certain political party, then you must agree with everything they do. And that means, you know, the idea of charity, you all know how I feel about charity. I've never been, I believe in empowerment, not charity. I've said that from the beginning. I don't believe in, I think people have created images around charity that benefits them, whether it's corporations. We have a strict policy on this show. If you watch this show, if you notice one thing, that when we do have charities that come on this show, they don't mention their sponsors. So I'm a believer in empowerment. I absolutely agree. And I think that, and again, this is not, I want to make something clear, because this is what the narrative has been in the United States, right? With the canceling of books, bans, and all that stuff. It's like, oh, this stuff is hateful. It's anti-white and this and that. No, it's not. It's pro. It's real education. It's sharing the stories. It's making sure that people have access to the stories, because our history, our stories were not told by us. They were not told by us. Sorry, Sandra. Yeah.
Thank you, Jamal. What does Titan do to ensure Black history is celebrated and shared all year round? With that said,
Yeah, we, like I said, one of our main Black History tour, Sandra, is really the Friendly Societies tour. And that's a tour that we definitely share. We do it on requests for people. Some people like to do it for their birthdays and different things like that. When we even talk about enslavement and even Mary Prince, I have to share with people that when we're talking about enslavement, enslavement is not Black history. Enslavement is literally white history, because that's the white people's records of the past. That's something that they did to Black people, and also whites benefited from, the compensation from Britain and different things like that. So they were the wealth builders, and they built wealth during that history. But it's important to share this history because, again, enslavement was a traumatic ordeal that happened to Black people. But that brings us to where we are today. The thing with enslavement, though, it directly relates to our psychology that we have today. It really does, especially here on this island. We do suffer from a mental enslavement. And we have to literally, like Bob Marley and Marcus Garvey said, right here on this island as well, too, we have to emancipate ourselves from mental enslavement. That's what we're dealing with right now, because only ourselves can free our minds. And again, when it comes to the history, we have to stop thinking of it as something in the past. It's directly related to our behaviors today, our actions. We behave still in many actions and forms, and even many institutions that we continue to go to. We still behave as enslaved people. Even when we talk about what we eat, the food we eat, we still eat the food of the enslaved people that they were forced to eat on Sundays, which was the codfish. Again, many people are not aware of that. But, because we don't look into our past to learn the lessons of it, that's what it's about. It's about learning those lessons and figuring out how those lessons could teach us and how we could move better towards our future and create and imagine a better future together. That's what it's about. It's really about learning it.
So real quick, sorry, Sancho, got to do it again. Follow up. So you're telling that 2 weeks ago, when I became the most hated Bermudian for saying that we gotta be honest, codfish and potatoes is disgusting. When they came for me. They came for me, right? And I apologized. You're telling me that codfish and potatoes goes back to basically enslavement and a scrappy, disgusting meal that we actually started to claim?
Absolutely. It's really sad. It's a few stories I could get into that. Yeah, basically, wherever the short story of it, make a long story short, wherever there was enslavement, there was codfish. And what happened was, what those European enslavers would do is they would go to Canada, Newfoundland, up in Canada, and they were given the codfish. Not sure what they would actually do with it, but then they decided, hey, we could give this food to enslaved people to feed them instead of paying all this money to feed them and different things like that. Many of the enslaved people, they were not even allowed to they said even here in Bermuda, many of the enslaved people was in Cyril Otterbridge Packwood's book. He said many of the enslaved people, it was stories of them. They wanted to have their own chickens, that they got the chickens taken away from them. They wanted to have their own gardens with potatoes and that got taken away from them. And it was like, you eat this codfish. And they were given 1 pound of codfish every Sunday. And then even after that, they were made to go to church. They were forced to go to church as well, too. So those were the two things they had to do on Sunday. They had to eat the codfish and they were made to go to church. And then there's another story that another historian writes, is that she was actually working, I can't remember her name, but her son is a politician, Jamal Simmons, I think his name is, Jamal Simmons. His mom actually wrote a story and she shared it as well, too. And she said that when she was working at the Pack with him in Somerset, or one of his nursing homes, she decided to have, oh yeah, it's a holiday, let's just give the residences some codfish. But I'm sure, I don't think it's Packwood or somewhere, but it was a residence, it was a nursing home that had a lot of white people there. A lot of white people at this nursing home. And to her surprise, the white residents, would not eat it. Here in Bermuda, they took offense to it. They was like, I'm not eating this food. Basically, I'm saying that it's dog food. How dare you give me this food? They were insulted by it. Wow. True story. Not realizing that, they were told, that's something the Black people eat. Not us. We don't eat that.
Wow.
And this is a story, true story. You could ask Jamal, his mama wrote the story. Miss Cecil, Miss Snaith, Miss Snaith has a story. Yeah, she has a fantastic story about it. And I even said, I was like, well, people should know this story. She was like, yeah. She was like, they would not eat it. The white residences at the nursing home were like, we are not eating this food, and they were offended by it and insulted by it.
And all jokes aside, I think you think it's Jamal Hartman shit. So I'm just probably like, can I, do my thing? But real quickly, I want to say, Renee Simmons said, no wonder I can't stand codfish. Then Charles said, comment for codfish is going too far. But I didn't even, I'm gonna be honest with you, I didn't know the history as a child of codfish, of why I didn't like it. I liked fried fish. That's what I liked. But I appreciate you sharing this. Because we don't know what we don't know. We don't know what we don't know. And if we told these stories over and over and over, Sancha, like if we discuss this stuff over and over and over, the more we'll understand it. This week, two things have happened. We've had some amazing conversations with people, from Danielle Peng yesterday to Callie Medeiros the prior day to Madam Gina and Atherton on Monday. But when I see comments like this, woo, good information. Michelle White, Rashida, don't say this. Just find out why we eat codfish and potatoes on Sundays. I'm blown. When I see comments like that, 1,100 episodes down makes me feel like we wake up and do this for a reason. It makes me feel like this is the greatest reward. When information is shared, and now we have that information and we can live accordingly based on the information we have. That's why we exist. You all can laugh. I'm not here for your entertainment. You can laugh at my waves all you want, but I think that the important conversations that we're having, me and cousin Miss Dang were talking yesterday, and it's like, there's no place where you can just go and find all this information. And then I said, well, there is one. If you're looking for information for a research paper or any of that stuff in another few years, you'll be able to go and research our YouTube channel or wherever all the Daily Hour episodes are, and you'll be able to find information and cite it as the Daily Hour. Because of people like Rashida who come on here and engage all of you. We appreciate it, Sancha. I'm so sorry. I wouldn't happen again. All right.
Let's say one thing, correlating back to what we just talked about. I know a lot of us, we don't think about it, but how Black people struggle with high blood pressure and diabetes, and it's directly linked genetically to the fact that we were forced to eat these things. So certain medications, they don't work for us as Black people because our makeup started to change, right? So before we're eating high in salt, and then we're wondering, I've heard it so many times, I eat healthy, I eat well, but yet I still have high cholesterol, or I'm struggling with all of these things. And it's because genetically it changed our genetic makeup. Just wanted to throw that in there.
You just made me feel a bit down.
I'm sorry.
Yeah, I'm a high cholesterol, folks. Go ahead. Sorry, enough of me.
And you work hard at it, right?
Yeah,
but so now it's really not you. It's from our past. But I feel like you've answered this already, but I feel like you can probably go a little further into it. But why is it so important for us to tell our own stories?
Absolutely. It's very important for us to tell our own story. And I could tell you from my experience, even just taking out the young people the other day. And it was so funny because a lot of them were saying, you remind me of my mama. And they were calling people and taking pictures of me and just excited to be there. And I was just like, said to myself, images literally are everything, because they felt so comfortable and different things like that. And we have to tell our own story. The Jews tell that story. Many white historians tell their own story. Many folks tell their story. We have to tell our nobody's going to tell our stories for us. And that's especially here, even on this island, and even pretty much Black people most times, we're always waiting on someone to tell our story or waiting on someone to save us. No one's coming to save us, we have to save ourselves. And if we want things to be better and to do better, we have to start with ourselves. We have to gain self-awareness. We have to reflect on self, and we have to say, what are we doing? Stop looking outside of ourselves for heroes you could be the hero within your community. You could just do little things, even what Mal's doing with the Daily Hour, and you're her too, Sancho. This is pretty heroic stuff you guys are doing, and it's going to get on in this is history as well too. You live in history. So we have to tell our own stories. No one's going to tell our stories for us, or there's things about us, and I believe that's our duty and responsibility to tell our stories of our people and ourselves.
Indeed. Just go through a few comments. And if you have any questions for Rashida, send them through, audience. Grandma Autobridge said, thank you, Rashida. She's Levette Pemberton says schools need this. You've got Michelle White. She says, I usually only make codfish on New Year's Eve. Could you put the story in writing so that we can reflect every
Sure.
year? Okay. Yeah, and that's another thing where I was going to ask. What are some resources? Because again, people keep asking, well, where do you get your information from and talking on the show and so on? Like, share with people some resources. Like, should they come on your tours? Do you share the information on your website? Do you sell anything with Bermuda history where they can utilize it and use it as books as a reference? Like, what would you advise what would you advise they use as the resources? Sorry.
I'm working on a website. It's called Sankofa Bermuda. That's Sankofa Bermuda, all spelled out. And we're trying to put as much history as we can on there. I am getting a lot of requests. People are requesting all sorts. And some people see me and just say, where's the book? I'm ready to buy the book. So I am going to be working, hopefully, within a book later on in a few years. But a lot of people like, I would like to have your name on my bookshelf. And I just laugh, but I say yes. And so a lot of things got pulled out of me per se, but that's my main website. It's called Sankofa Bermuda on there. We do have a few YouTubes on there. I will be going forward even this year. I'm doing emancipation talks because I did a talk for the Bermuda National Trust. And even with that talk, it was subscribed. And even talking to trust and different people, I said, I'm really when emancipation comes about, it needs to be a much more even knowledge base to it. We had the game, the cricket, and that's great. But the knowledge needs to also be there too, and it needs to be a mainstay. So going forward, I'll be definitely doing emancipation talks. Of course, I do the Mary Prince tour that'll be coming up. Actually, in March, I'm going to be doing a tour with the Bermuda National Museum. That one's called the Anti-Slavery Tour, and that's based on the United Nations International Day of Remembrance of the people who were enslaved people within the African diaspora. So that's a tour I do with the museum every year in March, and just sharing that history. But otherwise than that, if they want to do it, lots of times people want to do it just with their families. They could contact me. I could take out a group on request. I could do a customized tour, or just, do one of the African diaspora tours or something like that. Yeah.
All right. Real quickly, audience, let me be very clear. Rashida was not telling you not to eat codfish and potatoes, by the way. She was just
no.
Right. I want to make that clear because I think sharing the information and knowing it. But cousin Nicole Walker says, I knew the story, however, I'm not being forced to eat it and actually enjoy it. Do you eat it with butter sauce or tomato sauce, cousin Nicole? We've got Marquita Lee says, going to use that info for my family games night on Saturday, codfish. And then Nicole Walker says, if you haven't been on the Mary Prince or Friendly Society's tours with Titan, you are missing out. So much invaluable info is shared. We need to get back because we haven't been on one in like 2 years, Sandra. So we're going to be taking some of you all with us very soon. But Rhonda Johnson, this is something. She says, unfortunately, when we talk about the injustice of the past, many people get labeled as creating racist. And many of our Black foreparents, I love how she said foreparents, not forefathers, but foreparents within their wisdom thought it would be easier on their children if they just didn't know the past. However, the psychological trauma is still there. Let's talk about that because it was a couple years ago I shared on this show. We were talking at my family. It was a Christmas gathering the week before Christmas. And my younger cousins, they're all in their early 20s, hadn't heard of the Technical Institute when we were in a conversation about how it produced so many. And I actually was upset with my uncles and my aunts and older family, because I'm like, how is it you never had these conversations with them? And I felt like we're so focused on them going off to college and being educated by others that we fail to do our job at home, right?
Absolutely. That's a great question for, and what you're talking about as well. And what she put up there, that's a great question. Yes, the people do sometimes get labeled as race, but by definition, Black people could never be racist. By definition, racism and race, to be racist itself, you need to have money, lots of money to be a racist. You need to be labeled as somebody who's wealthy. Racism, a racist person is a group that comes together that's based on group economics. That's where one group is able to subjugate another group in such a way. Essentially, that's what, by definition, that is what Bermuda is. In Bermuda, Black people do not control the economic wealth of the island. Whites control the economic wealth of the island when we're talking about the economy, the grocery stores, different things like that. And they could band together and they're able to price gouge or different things like that, set prices at a certain place. Black people are not able to do that. So by definition, Black people are not able to be racist because they don't have the money to be a racist. To be a racist, you have to be a very wealthy person. And then secondly, we do so much an injustice when we decide not to share our past stories and history with our children. And I say that because it's important for them to know where they came from. If you're standing looking forward and that's all that you know is from where you are looking forward, then you think everything's great, right? But sometimes you gotta, when they get to situations, they're going to find themselves in situations. Because I know this happens all the time. A lot of people contact me, share stories, and our young people find themselves in institutions where they become very frustrated. They don't understand why these things are happening to them. They know something's happening, but they can't put a finger on it. And that's because we haven't shared with them the stories of what happened to folks in the past. And how they got to where they are, and how they need to forge ahead forward. Like I said, you have to share the story of enslavement. The children laugh when I say this, and I say, guys, we didn't come over here on a carnival fun ship on an all-you-can-eat buffet. As much as people want to believe that, that's not true. Our people had to fight constantly.
Yeah.
Not that they wanted to, they had to.
But we've got to go. But we've got some important stuff that I want to touch on to add to what you said, and maybe putting you on the spot. And just to answer a question, Renee Stevens says, has there been a tour? I think I missed that one, TDH. So yeah, we did one 2 years ago. We'll be doing more this year. So we'll be welcoming the audience again to rock with us with Titan on another tour this year. But I'm very clear, and I really do not care who I offend by saying this. But you touched on it earlier. I said to all the women who were on this team last year, March, I don't really like International Women's Day. White women and Black women are not equal. And I feel like this feminism movement has killed the Black movement. I feel like people mention intersectionality. That has not benefited Black people like DEI and affirmative action. Maybe that was what they were set out to do, or designed to do, or told you they would do. But speak to us about that. Speak how these other movements, without naming them because people get offended, right? They're sensitive, right? We're supposed to be tough and bold, Black man, Black woman. But how have these other groups, and also liberal and conservative movements, it's easy to call a Black person who's a conservative a coon, but a Black person who's a liberal a progressive, which is ridiculous to me. I see no difference. Right? Speak to us about how this impacts our progress.
Yeah, it impacts it a lot. I think a lot of us also have to question those of us who get offended or not understanding it. We have to question ourselves. Okay, well, why am I getting offended by this? Of course, with Black people, you find, and many psychologists talk about this as well too, Black people have, because of oppression, they believe it's from the trauma of oppression. This is one of the reasons why many of us grab onto inclusivity. That's the word. We want to be inclusive in everything. But that inclusivity, even like going back into the history, we learned these stories right here, even in Bermuda, of At emancipation, there was freedom, still came with much restrictions for those newly freed Black people at that time, but there was never going to be any equality or equity. Never. People continued on into segregation. Segregation automatically went into place. Blacks could go in certain places, whites only, different things like that, certain institutions. Again, you still had the Blacks, the friendly societies, the Blacks who had their businesses, different things like that. But we still had the Blacks who really wanted to be inclusive, and they wanted to go in the theaters, to sit into the theaters. Then we had to end the segregation. But did you know that at the time when there was the theater boycotts here in Bermuda, that Black people had their own movie theaters run at Manchester Lodge and at different lodges? We had what was so interesting about that is that the white people used to go around even to the lodge theaters. They used to even rent out the lodge theaters to show their own movies. So why were we worrying about, that's what happens. This is the conversation I get into with the children. So why were we even worrying about sitting in the seat in the white people's theaters? Because again, inclusivity, it's almost like a mental illness. That's what I liken it to, really. But when you define mental illness, but these are things in history that happened right here in Bermuda, and we should be dissecting these stories to figure out what made us want to go sit in the whites theater when we had our own theaters.
And I think that was the difference between Malcolm X and Dr. King. What I guess is, it goes back to the conversation earlier about doing for self, like the whole Marcus Garvey movement and the like. How did we get here? But how do we fix where we're at? Like, how do we come out of this? I don't, when I tell people I don't subscribe to conservatism, they say, oh, so you're liberal. I don't subscribe to liberalism, so you're conservative. Why do I have to have any of those ideologies that don't align with me? Why have we, and especially with younger people, it's like, it's almost popular to support these things, and it's almost like unpopular to be pro-Black. And pro-Black is not liberal or conservatives. It's not. And pro-Black is not hating other groups of people. It's empowering. It's educating. It's giving. It's working to ensure that your community benefits from you. Other groups do it well. We know what the economics are like, how dollars rotate in a community. But how do we get there? I mean, why is it us? We always have to be included. Like I tell people all the time, do not compare our battle with conscription with other things. Because we were not fighting to be included. We were fighting to be excluded. I think we really need to take a deep look. A deep, deep look. Joyanne Reid just let go from MSNBC, right, as a news talk show host. I don't know why we're all crying about it. She's got enough leverage to go do her own thing. No. I just don't understand it, because we have within us the intellectual capacity to do for ourselves. Why can't we do it?
We can, but we don't want to learn the stories of the past as application in order to be able to move forward, and then we put it in practicum. We don't want to learn it. Like I said, even in the US, you had Tulsa, Oklahoma. You had that what they call the Black Wall Street. There's Black people over there too. They were not concerned with white people and what white people were doing. They did business with them, yes, to a degree. And the same here in Bermuda. We had the organization called the Friendly Societies, the same type of organization. At the time, what's so fascinating and what I find so interesting about even the Friendly Societies, right, is like I had this wealthy white man. He had stopped me. I was in a meeting and he was like, oh my God, I can't believe. And he owns an architectural firm in Bermuda. And he says, I just think the stories, my grandparents used to talk about the Friendly Societies in the early 1900s. I just think the story is so fascinating. This is a white wealthy man saying to me, the story itself was so unbelievable. How can a group of Blacks come together during a time of deep segregation on an island and still be able to build wealth? How does that happen? And that's what happened when we talk about the French stories or the friendly societies. Unfortunately, it's not much of them around now. People still can be a part of it, but the story itself, we can learn so much from it. Again, it's about how groups of people decided to rally together, even though now that's difficult for many of us because many of us do like to be in our silos, but we don't understand that in order for us to even have Black progress, we had to come together, because even what happened to us, which was oppression, continued oppression, and many people say even in many ways, whites didn't even have to do it anymore. Black people, we continue to perpetuate the oppression of ourselves to ourselves. We do it on our own.
Yeah.
But again, it's learning the stories of that type of history and saying, okay, yeah, we could do these things and forge ahead together. But we want to be siloed in our thinking, unfortunately, and siloed in the way we move forward, and thinking that we can move forward by ourselves, but we can't move forward by ourselves. We can't. We have to do it as a group effort. It has to be group think, group community moving forward. Because even the friendly societies, just sharing with you quickly, eventually evolved into the unions.
Right.
And then the unions were supposed to forge ahead even further. We had the co-op supermarket. They had the bank over there. Those were the things that they were supposed to leverage to make into more economic banking for people. When we're talking about the credit union was supposed to evolve into a much more bigger bank. It wasn't supposed to just stay a credit union. Our supermarket was supposed to turn into supermarkets all throughout the island. And that's how we were supposed to expand on it. But it's something there as well, too. I spoke to Ms. Farbert about it at the union, because it was a period where I used to take the children to the union as well, too, was that, we dropped the ball, but it doesn't mean that we can't pick it up and continue it on. It's going to take some time, but we have to share these stories.
Yeah, and Mayola John said here, she said, the need, I just want to piggyback on what you said, the need to be included seems to have been the downfall of Black entrepreneurs who were providing the same products and services, because it became cool to go over there to the other store once you were allowed to do them. And, I think this is one of our challenges, Levette Pemberton saying, Blacks did not support them. So, folks, I mean, this has been an awesome conversation. Obviously, Rashida will be back often to do this. But Rashida, just remind people how they can find out what Titan has going on, how they can do themselves stay engaged and involved in learning the various stories and history beyond February.
Yeah, beyond February, you guys could contact me. You could send an email to hello@titanexbda.com. That's hello@titanexbda.com. We do all sorts of tours. Even now we have a cultural tour coming up called the Fish Sandwich Tour. That's a great tour. You could purchase the tickets there on PTix. And as well, like I said, I'm also going to be doing a anti-enslavement tour with the National Museum that's coming up in March, and that's going to be on PTix as well too. That's just going through the enslavement history for the United Nations Day of Remembrance. But otherwise than that, you could feel free to contact us anytime, and we could be there for transportation as well as tours.
All righty. Thank you so much, Rashida, for making time for this. And I want the audience to do us a favor. If you really feel this was an important conversation, an excellent conversation, an awesome conversation, make sure everyone you know has access to it. So like it, love it, follow it, share it. Like this should be, we love to share gossip. It's like Desmond Crockett said it. Like when it comes to murders and movie, we love to talk. No, we love to gossip, but we don't love to talk. Like we love to share like long voice notes from people and gossip, but these are the kind of conversations we need to be sharing on WhatsApp, folks. Honestly, this is the information that needs to be told. Too many times in recent conversations, we didn't know things, and that's okay because we don't know what we don't know. But you now have access to this information. Don't hold on to it yourself, because that does not benefit the greater community. Rashida, thank you so much. We'll talk soon.
Thank you. My pleasure.
All right, Rashida Godwin, folks, please reach out. She's got the Fish Sandwich tour coming up. She's got the thing at the National Museum of Bermuda. Reach out. We're going to take a final break, come back, and we've got a Black History Bermuda question in 2 minutes, 32 seconds. Sancha, you ready?
I thought it was a geography question.
Yeah, to name that place. It's a name that place, Black History. Yeah.
Okay.
Looking for the best care for your pets? Nova's Ark Feed and Supply has everything you need, from top quality foods to toys and supplies. We've got it all. Join our frequent buyer program and earn rewards every time you shop. Plus, we've been awarded the Clever Customer Initiative program for helping you save more. And don't forget, we open an hour early on Saturdays so you can get a head start on your pet care. Visit us today or shop online for easy pickup or delivery. Your pets will thank you.
Join us as we celebrate 5 years and 1,000 plus episodes of community conversations on Bermuda's Daily Talk Show. The Daily Hour Gala takes place on April 26th at LF Wade International Airport. For more information and advance tickets, please send an email to admin@bermudacommunications.com. We look forward to celebrating all that's great about our community with all of you.
All right. Who was the first woman to become not just the first female opposition leader in Bermuda, but throughout the entire British Commonwealth?
Dame Lewis Brown Evans.
Hey, buddy. Hun, who was the first woman to serve as opposition leader, not just in Bermuda, but throughout the entire British Commonwealth?
Dame Lewis Brown Evans.
Mason, what did you say?
Dame Lewis Brown Evans.
Dame Lois Brown Evans? Where do you find that?
Mommy playing Bermuda Trivia.
Mommy playing Bermuda Trivia.
Oh, honey, I'm so proud of you. Good job.
It's true. Children are a reflection of their environment. Bermuda's favorite trivia game, fun with a purpose. To educate, to entertain, to inform, to inspire, to learn, and to enjoy. Bermuda Trivia. All volumes now available at various stores throughout Bermuda. Visit bermudatrivia.com to learn more and follow Bermuda Trivia on your favorite social media platforms.
Alrighty, welcome back to the Big Show. Thanks again to Rashida Godwin from Titan stopping by. I love conversations like that. Folks, if you haven't already, give us a love, like, thumbs up. Make sure you share the conversation with your friends, your family, your colleagues. Make sure as many people as you know have access to these community conversations. Thanks again to the BAC group of companies, Medical House Lindos, and People's Pharmacy for ensuring that we're able to have these conversations with you on a regular basis. It's time for the Daily Play, brought to you by Bermuda Trivia, now available at stores throughout Bermuda. Follow Bermuda Trivia on Facebook, Instagram, X, and TikTok to find out why it's Bermuda's favorite trivia game. All right, Sancha, are you ready? It's a name that place.
Yeah, you're making me nervous.
You've got this. You've got this. This is easy. I mean this. All right, you don't need their help. In what parish is Mary Prince Emancipation Park located? Yeah, we went there.
Devonshire. It's in town.
It's Devonshire. Yes. Yeah. Pembroke.
I said Pembroke too. I said Devonshire, then I said Pembroke because you didn't cut me off and give me the, you were successful.
Yeah, it's Devonshire. It's Devonshire Bay. Yeah, Devonshire Bay. Oh, Devonshire Bay.
Where is Devonshire Bay again?
Mary Prince Park.
No, I mean, give me directions, Jamal.
Oh, sorry.
I know you've been there. I can kind of remember the area. When I drive there, I see it, but I can't. Where exactly is it?
So let's say you're heading town from Colactus Hill gas station.
Right.
It's about 2 minutes up the road on the left.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
You know, these country people don't get down, they don't get outside the suburbs.
I've been. We took a picture. Yeah.
We did take a picture. There's evidence. Just evidence. Well, you got it right. You got it right.
Yes. Okay.
Thank
you, audience. Near Colactus Hill. Thank you, KJ. Near Colactus Hill.
You have a better record than me this week. I mean, Teray asked me a question on Tuesday. I got it wrong. So I'm 0 for 1 this week. So I guess I pulled a Sherry, not a Sancha and Sherry now.
Totally. Oh, so I missed that part because I had to sign off because I did hear like I will always get them right. I
Oh,
heard that.
I said that?
Something along those lines. Yeah. You were very,
Oh.
confident with it.
Oh, I didn't think I would. I didn't think I said that.
She humbled you. I love it.
Anyway, enough about me. Final thoughts on today's show. What are your thoughts? I mean, reducing the cost of living and then the conversation with Rashida.
Today has been a good one. I am definitely looking forward to hearing, the budget speech. I want to know what are the ideas? What's the plan? Because as we spoke today and as we heard from the audience, we're all a little bit unsure. We all have little ideas that we can throw around, but the bigger picture is what we need to see. And I would love to see it happen. I don't know if it's possible, but I would love to see it happen. As far as speaking to Rashida, it's always a great time speaking to Rashida. And it was funny to hear the audience that hadn't heard about the codfish story, right? Now we know. But I think it's important all year around to make sure that we are having these conversations. And, we aren't racist if we are Black and proud. We have a right to be proud for everything that we've endured and we've been through, and we need to keep those things alive.
Yeah, I agree. With the cost of living, Sancha, I'll say this much. There are things that can be done. There are going to have to be some unpopular things that are going to have to be done to reduce the cost of living. One of the things is they have to find a way to manage inflation. I'm going to trust the experts. I'll trust the experts. I just don't know how it works based on what I know. So I'll wait for the experts to let me know. As it relates to the conversation with Rashida, I really hope that people understand. I mean, we cannot keep aligning our struggle with every other struggle, because what continues to happen is we get buried. And when you get buried, you get forgotten. This is by design. And it's important for us to recognize and understand that. Our fight is ours. As Rashida said, there has no one coming to save us. We need to develop the spirit of self-determination so that we can find our way out of the troubles that we have. I look forward to us responding to a lack of DEI with some empowering methods of living. Sancha, you've got some daily inspiration for us so we can head out?
I do. So, chance has never yet satisfied the hope of a suffering people. Action, self-reliance, the vision of self, and the future have been the only means by which the oppressed have seen and realized the light of their own freedom. Do you know who that is?
I don't.
Marcus Garvey.
Perfect. I would have guessed, because that's the do for self, man. I appreciate it. Thank you, folks. Don't forget to subscribe on our website. Follow us on all of our social media channels to stay up to date with all that we have going on. Help us grow beyond the mic as we do our part to continue to improve our community. Thanks again to our partners, the BAC Group of Companies, Medical House Lindos, and People's Pharmacy, for ensuring that we're able to do this with you on a daily basis. As always, we appreciate you, we love you, and we thank you for making us part of your daily routine. If all goes well, we'll be back to do this again with you tomorrow. She's Sancha Durham. I'm Jamel Hartman. Please do make it a safe and a great day. We are out. Peace.